Hi, I'm Jamie Patton, Soil Health Coordinator for Wisconsin NRCS. And today we're standing on Oneida lands looking at the Manawa soil. So when we look at this soil, again, we have that silt loam over this heavier glacial till. And as we look at this soil, you can see I'm having trouble popping it out of the soil pit. And you can see some of it is well aggregated, but overall it is a very heavy clay soil. Contrast that to what's on the surface, it tends to fall out quite easy and it tends to be silt loam in texture. So when we talk about this stratified system, it's really important that we help to push roots through this stratification. Otherwise, water is going to get hung up in this change in texture. So you can see this was formerly alfalfa. You can see these alfalfa roots have grown quite deep into the soil profile. In fact, here is another root going all the way to the bottom of this 4-foot soil pit. But you can see these roots have been acting upon not only the silt loam surface, but this heavier clay subsoil. You can see individual biopores, so you can see those earthworm channels, you can see those large pores, and you can see the importance of those biopores. So these roots, some of them are forging their own way down through the glacial till, but many of them are using the path of least resistance. They're using the old root channels from the crop before, or they're using that old biopore from that earthworm to get deep down within that soil profile. What this does is it helps them get through this rockier subsoil that tends to be more poorly drained, and we can see that from its gray color. We can also see those roots get through that gray color, that more reduced zone, into the more oxidized subsoil, and you can also see that they're pulling oxygen. If we look right here, they're pulling oxygen out of that lower oxidized zone because that pulling of oxygen is creating a reduction in that iron, and you can see the gray iron forming along those root channels as that iron becomes solubilized and moves out of that zone. So all of this is really important when we think about how to manage heavy stratified soils like we have here in northern Wisconsin. Making sure that we have reduced that tillage, right, so that we can maintain those biopores, maintain those old root channels, improve that soil aggregation so we can move water from the surface down into the subsurface. But more importantly, when we think about this heavy subsurface, making sure that we have those root channels, we have those biopores, that they're continuous, that allow for more oxygen to get down in the subsoil, and more importantly, get these roots down into the subsoil so that they can tap the nutrients and water that are down here.